Hello everyone, and welcome to my review of the Alden 403 versus the 405. I noticed a lot of online discussion about this topic, and I figured I should probably do a video review of it because I've owned both boots for about a year now. I bought them both on the same day from Alden of DC, and they both held up awesome. They're the best pieces of footwear I own. And I kind of wanted to add my 2 cents to the debate because a lot of guys they own one and they argue for one side, and I just kind of wanted to show the differences and highlight the differences. First off, I think they're both worth owning. I mean, if you really like Alden and you really like the Indy boot, I say get them both because they're both awesome. They both have their upsides. I kind of think it's a tie between the two personally, but you can draw your own conclusions. First thing you'll notice, I've worn both of these the same amount. And the first thing you're going to notice is the difference in the Chrome Excel leather. The Chrome Excel leather really looks different than the calfskin after a year. The Chrome Excel, you can really see the creases in it. The scuffs show up a lot more. It's darker, but at the same time it's not fragile, but I would definitely say it just shows its aging and it shows its wear a lot more because of the processing that this leather goes through. I mean, it's really easy to buff out. I've been using Venetian leather balm on it, and it's a miracle cure for this stuff. I mean, it restores it back to 100% back to normal. And then compare that to the calfskin, the 405. It almost doesn't look like it's been worn at all after a year. I cycle between these, obviously, to extend the life of them. So I wear one day, I wear the other one the next day, and it keeps them nice and aired out. But if you look at the 405, these are almost still able to be sold in a store. I mean, very hard to see any scuffing or wearing, and it's really fascinating to me just how little creasing has started to form on the calfskin. I have tried to darken this up a little bit using leather honey. That stuff works pretty good. I have some Neat's foot oil on the way. I'm going to try on it too here soon. But I think they're both, like I said, I think they're both worth owning if you're into the Indy boot. Now, I've got both of these on my feet, and as you can see, never mind my fancy socks, but as you can see, they're just like the Chrome Excel has aged differently. There's a drastic difference in one thing that I want to point out here. These are both 8.5 Ds. I got the same size. Look at the distance between the eyelets now after these have broken in. Look at how much the Chrome Excel has stretched versus the calfskin. It's basically not stretched at all. It is still far apart. If you can see that, you know, this is probably a good, I don't know, 2 inches apart, whereas this is about 1.5 inches. I mean, so in terms of breaking in, the Chrome Excel really breaks in a lot, drastically. And I can tell you that the 405 honestly offers me, at this point, a little bit more support. Walking around in the 405, it feels a lot more, I don't want to say snug, but I just want to say that it feels very supportive, whereas this, the 403, there's a little bit of give. You know, it's not a bad thing. It's certainly still a very comfortable boot, but there's a little bit more wiggle room for my toes in the 403 than the 405. So there is definitely a difference between the two. There's also some confusion between the two, actually, and I kind of blame that on J. Crew. They sell the 403, but they list it as the Alden Indy 405, which is kind of I don't know why that happened, but the J. Crew, the Alden 405 Indy that you see on the J. Crew site is actually the Alden 403 in brown chrome excel leather. The J. Crew doesn't sell the 405 at all, so I hope this clears up some. I hope this gives some light as to the difference between these two boots. And like I said, I think they're both worth owning if you're really into them. So thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the review. Another thing I wanted to add was when a lot of people go looking for the indie boot, sometimes it's because, you know, they're inspired by Indiana Jones, which there's nothing wrong with that, and they want to know which one that he actually wore. Well, he wore the 405, this one, but it wasn't this one. His version was more of a, it's hard to even tell in the pictures. His one was ones that he beat the crap out of when he was working as a carpenter, when he was trying to get into acting. And so back then, 50, 60 years ago, Alden was making a completely different work boot. So even if you get this one, it's not the one that he wore. Leather Soul Hawaii actually is now selling what they call the vintage indies, and those look a lot more like the movie ones, except they have a commando sole instead of this neo cork. So it's really hard to get, you know, a screen accurate one. I mean, there's there's no easy way to go about getting the exact boot that Harrison Ford wore. I mean, if you really want to get into it, we could start. You know, I think these actually look a little bit more like the ones that he wore. These are the 404s, and this is the Kudu boot. And this thing has a Vibram lug sole that is just awesome. I think of the three, these are the most badass. Pardon my French, but still not the exact one. So, you know, it really comes down to preference. Like I said, I think they're all great. So I hope this gives you guys some insight. Thank you. And another thing that I wanted to add was, honestly, after again wearing these for a year, I can tell you that in terms of which color to pick, if I had to pick one, I prefer the Chrome XL color. I find it a lot more versatile to wear with a lot of different things because of the darker color. These go great with jeans, every kind of jean, dark, light, everything. Whereas these really, they don't, to me, don't look quite right with really dark jeans. They look great with khakis, but everything this can do, and then some, you know. I even have some buddies that wear this one with a suit, whereas I don't think that one's very much worthy of a suit. So if you're looking for one to wear with everything, I gotta give it to the 403. But in terms of comfort and long-lasting looks, I'm pretty astounded by the way this thing's turned out. I mean, you compare the two, and this one just looks like it's been through the Temple of Doom, and this one looks like it's still fresh out of the box.